You've probably heard the saying that hard work will always beat talent. And when it comes to success with women, this is undeniably true in the long run. All right, I didn't understand this in my 20s, but I'm 35 years old now. In my 20s and teenage years, I had very low levels of confidence and very low success with women, pretty much non-existent in my teens. It wasn't until my mid-20s and late 20s I started to have more success with this. But not having success with women when you're young is surprisingly, in my opinion, a blessing if you do things right. There are a lot of men I know out there that don't do what I'm going to explain in this video, and so they didn't have success with women when they were young or even middle-aged, and they didn't know how to utilize it, and they're probably still in the same situation. But what I've noticed is that since I had really low levels of success and confidence when it came to dating, it was something I was drawn to. It wasn't until my buddy sent me a YouTube video like 11 years ago where I started realizing, wow, this is actually a skill set. I was shocked. I actually just thought up until that point, you either got it or you don't. And that was the story I told myself up until my early to mid 20s. Up until about 23, 24, I was like, you either got it or you don't. And I'm not jacked, I'm not tall, and I don't have a Lambo or anything, and so I'm not gonna have success with this stuff, right? Meanwhile, growing up, my best friend throughout high school, he was naturally good with women. He was like 6'2", very charismatic, extremely confident, and he just had a lot of success. He was with like 30 or 40 women just in high school alone, and I was pretty much a virgin until my senior year of high school. So I watched him dominate, and I just thought he had it because of these stats, and there's nothing I could do about it. It wasn't until later on that I started to realize, this is actually a skill set. And so the reason that it's such a blessing is because I went through a lot of pain and frustration. You could even say jealousy and envy, right? Like some of you guys watching this, I bet you there's been moments where you didn't get the girl and you could think back to another guy that was dating that girl. And maybe you didn't even think he was better than you, honestly. Like a lot of these men are not any better than you are, but you're like, how the fuck is she with him? Or she chose him over me. And actually, this literally just came to me, this isn't even pre-rehearsed, but there was a moment where that guy, my high school friend, he ended up banging the girl that I was texting at one point. I was like maybe 22 at the time, and I was the nice guy in the social circle, but I was kind of attractive. I was going through a weird time. I don't even know how old I was, actually. I don't think I was 22. I must have been even earlier because I was with my first girlfriend 20 to 24 or 25. So maybe I was 19. And there was a girl in the social circle that I really liked. And I thought she was really attractive back then. We were texting a lot. And I found out one night after a party that this guy ended up bringing her home that night and smashed. He didn't even bring her home. They ended up smashing in the car. And I was devastated the next morning because it was like in the middle, it was in the peak of our frequency of communication. So I just felt so betrayed, not only by the woman, but in my mind, it was like a stab in the back from my boy. But honestly, he didn't even think anything of it because he was with so many women and he was just, drinking and partying and just fucking and putting his dick in whatever he could find, honestly. And so I had a lot of pain, frustration, resentment, envy, jealousy, maybe even a little bit of hatred. I grew up with a lot of these things, and that's just one instance, right? That was one instance post high school. But if you want to look at all of middle school, all of high school, I never got the girl that I wanted. I didn't go to my high school prom. I never got what I really wanted, ever. I was shackled. I closed off from the world when my dad passed at 12 years old, and I just dove into weed and video games throughout my high school years. And so the reason that this is such a blessing for most of you guys, if you didn't have success with women at a young age, is that once you find out that this is actually a skill set, this isn't genetic. It's not you're born with it. It's not you need to be tall. No, this is literally a skill set where if you put in the work, you study, you understand the concepts, you implement the concepts, you take enough uncomfortable actions and you learn from those experiences and you inevitably get success as long as you don't quit, you will start to build the skill set. And it will be frustrating, annoying, for the first year, at least. Like my first year I was pretty much stagnant. I barely made any progress. The second year was a little bit better. The third year was starting to get good. The fourth year and the fifth year were much, much better. And then it seemed like every year after that was a little bit better. But for me, it was a very slow start. But the good news is that once you start taking action and making progress, you can let go of that old identity of the guy that is just bad with it, right? Like that was me. I had this story that I'm just bad with women. I'm going to be bad with women. I'm just born this way. They don't like me because of this thing. And I'm telling you guys, that is fucking bullshit. I don't care what age you are right now if you're watching this video. That is bullshit. Anybody at any age is capable of learning a new skill set. The same way I would tell anybody, I don't care what age you are, you could learn the piano right now. As long as you can move your hands and you can put in some time studying, you can learn this art form of piano. And I'm here to tell you, it is the same fucking thing with women. I don't care what age you are, as long as you can talk and you can take action and study, you can get good at this art form. That's the great news. And the reason it's good if you didn't have success with it early on is because there's so much pain and frustration and motivation associated with your failure of it. So for me, it was like, once I saw the opportunity and the lane for it, I couldn't stop. Couldn't stop. And even to this day, I feel like I have an obligation. I have an obligation to spread the word, to keep giving hope, to keep coaching, to keep making improvements, to help the culture, honestly, man. Because I know what it's like being on the other side and then finally discovering, hey, there's actually this opportunity here, right? The problem, though, with the guys that are good with women growing up is that they plateau. They don't have pain. They don't have frustration. They don't have a big enough why. They're already good at the thing. It's like a kid who grew up and he was just always fed good meals. Good meals, good meals. This guy's eating good, right? What incentive does that guy have to then go learn hunting just so he could get better meals? There's really not much of an incentive. There's no pain. It would be extremely uncomfortable. There's no incentive for him to really go do any of that, right? The dude who's starving, though, who never got fed, who at some point was just learned, wait, I can actually go out and learn hunting, and if I get really good at hunting, I could kill a fucking moose, and then I could feed a whole tribe. That's crazy to think about. But a guy who's always been eating steak, he's gonna be like, well, I don't need I'm gonna go learn all of that shit so I could go kill a moose. He's like, I'm good, right? So the guys that are born with a moderate level of success, they always peak early. They always peak early, right? And the only way to get really good at some of this stuff is to put in years. And in my opinion, the only way you go long enough with it is if you weren't good with it on the front end. There needs to be some sort of pain and motivation on the front end because it's just a pendulum, right? So it's like if you barely have a fucking pullback here, how far are you going to really go with it? No. The more pain, the more suffering, the more frustration, the bigger the why around fixing the thing, the bigger that pendulum could swing the opposite way. So if you grew up not having success with this, it by no means means that you can't be good at it. If anything, I think you have the biggest potential. Once you see the lane, once you realize you can do it, once you have some structure, some coaching, some accountability in place, you can for sure surpass anybody that kind of grew up naturally and had a little bit of success with this thing. Now, if you want to get better with that structure, if you want coaching, if you need accountability, if you need that push, if you need to surround yourself with other men that are also going through this journey, I would love to help you make that transformation. I told you, it took me a very long time. I hired coaches, I struggled, I failed. I'm not gonna go too deep into it right now, but there is an in-depth training down below where I talk about my whole backstory, my whole journey, the clients I've helped, and how I can help you accomplish your goals with women and dating. Link is down below. That's all for this video, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.